Hi guys! Today I'm going to teach you how you can take Dollar Tree supplies and turn them into something super cute to remember 2020 and hopefully put a fun spin on the year. You're going to have such a great time making these, I promise. Hey guys, so let's talk about our supplies really quickly. We're going to be using a Dollar Tree felt roll, and this is only $1. You get quite a bit of felt on this one. It's 48 inches in length. That is really awesome. We can make a ton of ornaments with this one, and I think we're going to. I'm also using Cricut cardstock, and this is just a piece of it I have handy. I'll leave links to both of these below. I am an affiliate for both of them, so definitely check it out there, and you'll save some extra money if I have coupons with it. You'll also want a glue gun and a pair of scissors. So let's make a bunch of mini toilet paper rolls and have fun and make some fun ornaments. So our first step with this is we're going to measure out approximately the right size for this. So it's about 1.5 inches that we're measuring this to. And we're just going to cut a couple lines worth of it. We don't really need a ton to make that many ornaments. I found that I had a ton of little ornaments, enough to decorate a mini tree from these 2 strips. So we'll just go through and cut those, and then we're going to test fit and see about what size would work on this. So I did some measurements on it, and it was about 2 3/4 inches to get that roll about the right size. And some of the rolls will vary a little bit in size, but I think it turns out really, really well. So all you'll do is just continue cutting all of the little pieces as you're going along. And it's a really quick craft for this one. It's actually really fun. I did this one just for fun one evening and sat down and just had a great time. So hopefully you guys have as much fun making this as I did. But what you're going to want to do is just do some hot gluing on here, and you'll take your hot glue and just run a bead along there and then just adjust it so there's a little bit of an overlap. I have my hot glue gun set to a low heat setting so that way it stays nice and cool and I'm not burning myself. You can also use the Dollar Tree fingertips, and it helps because it covers your fingers and keeps them from burns. So just continue making these and run through all of the different strips that you have. And if you have multiple rolls of the white felt, you can totally make a ton of them, and you can, sell them, make them as gifts, anything that you want to make. The felt itself, there's quite a bit of felt that comes out in this, so definitely when you roll it out, you'll be surprised at how much comes out. So as you continue, you'll just unroll this, and I would roll it away from yourself just so it's a little bit easier, because when you start cutting it, it's nice to have it lengthwise. The Dollar Tree felt isn't 100% even all the way around, so you will have to do a little bit of adjustments with it, but I find that it's pretty forgiving for this DIY. I'm just using a ruler and a rotary cutter. If you don't have a rotary cutter, we can totally cut it with a pair of scissors or with your Cricut machine as well. But I do a lot of quilting, so I just have a rotary cutter handy, and I'm just cutting long strips of this. So this is going to be the exact same type of measurements that we were using before. It's 1.5 inches, and we're just going to cut it all the way to the end, and then that way we can keep wrapping it around the tubes without having to worry about getting it exact. So we're just going to kind of cut these and then measure it using our eyeballs. Essentially, we're going to test fit it, and when it looks like the roll is full enough, we'll do that. Hey guys, so I'm going to show you in a way that you can customize these ornaments. If you're making ones that are just purely Dollar Tree and you only have options for Dollar Tree ones, you can make it this way. But if you have a Cricut machine, this is something you can do that you can add to it, and it'll make it look even more custom. So what we're going to do is add some iron-on vinyl to our felt before we roll this up. Let's go into Cricut Design Space. We're on the tablet right now. If you're following along at home and you're using a phone, it's going to look exactly the same as this. If you're using a desktop computer, all of these tools along the bottom will be along the sides and the top of the screen. And it'll be laid out a little bit differently, but you'll still have all of these same options. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the bottom left here and select Image. If you're using a desktop, that'll be over on this side of the screen. So we're going to select Image. It'll allow us to search inside Cricut Design Space for the library. And I'm going to type in 2020 and click Search. You can also just type this in using the text option, but I was looking for something that was pre-made. We could use something like this, we could use something like this, and it's pretty much ready to go. I think I might even try this one. I really like how that one looks. So we're going to click insert, and what we can do is select it. When you click on it, it will bring up the measurements as you're dragging and clicking from the right hand corner. So it'll tell you exactly the size that you need. We know that this continues in a long roll, and this is 1.5 inches in height. So just keep that in mind when you're working with this, that we need to keep it underneath that sizing. Oops, let me go backwards. So I'm going to select it, and I'm going to drag and click, and we're going to keep it under that 1.5 inch height. Or if you are finding it difficult to size on your phone or your tablet, something you can do is go into edit here on the bottom, and it will bring up the width and the height of it, so you can manually adjust those pieces. So edit, if you were selecting it, you could say, okay, I want this to be 1.3 something. So you could go in and type that, and then you could fill out exactly what size you want it to be. So I'm okay with the sizing on this. We're going to go ahead and make this. So I'm going to send it to the mat. I'm going to say make it. And we're going to use the Cricut Joy for this. You can use any machine for this. The Explorer 2 and the Maker would work as well for this, but I have my Joy handy and ready to go. So I'm going to select without a mat, because I'm going to be using Cricut Smart Vinyl. Since we're using iron-on, we need to make sure that we use the mirror feature. So along the top, it tells you we're going to cut without the mat. We need 3 inches of material, and the mirror is off. So we need to turn the mirror on, so I'm going to select that. It'll bring up this little screen here, and it says mirror for iron-on, so we're going to select that. And then we go back to the screen. It makes it backwards, so that way when you cut it, it'll have it backwards, and then you can turn it this way and press it onto the item. So we'll select continue. It's going to connect to the Joy, and now it's ready. So we're going to set the material to which material we need. We're going to use Smart Iron-On. You don't have to use a mat when you're using smart materials with the Joy, which is awesome. I love that. We're going to make sure that we have the fine point blade loaded, and we're going to load the material. So here is the Joy. The fine point blade is loaded in there, and I'm going to go grab the materials and we'll load this in. So we're going to weed, which is to remove the extra vinyl from the design. We're going to start from the corner here and just peel this away. I like to use a diagonal angle. I just find it's a little bit easier. And you can always rotate your design as you're working on it. It just makes it a little bit easier. You can also just kind of slightly angle your design and kind of roll it just a little bit, so that you can get your tools in there, or you can get your fingernail in there to remove the extra pieces. So let's talk about how you apply the little decal to the felt. This is the Dollar Tree felt that we're using. And what you're going to do is get your iron or your Easy Press Mini. I'm using the Easy Press Mini. I think this is perfect for this type of application. You could also use one of the larger heat presses, but for smaller projects, I always recommend the Mini. This has been a game changer for me. If you want information on any of the tools I'm using, I have affiliate links below, and as well as some different sales information and coupons on it. I'm using the little mat here, and this protects your work surface. You can also use a towel if you don't have a mat. And we're going to go into the website, which is the Cricut Heat Guide. And that tells us exactly how hot to make the iron and all the settings that we need to use. So I'm bringing up Cricut's Heat Guide, and it'll ask you which machine you're using. So we're going to use the Easy Press Mini, and this is going to ask us which heat transfer material are we using. I'm going to be using the Smart Iron-On, and then it asks us which material are we applying this to. So we're going to be applying this to felt, and we click apply. And it will tell us not only the settings and exactly how to do this, it'll tell us which supplies we need, how to prepare, and how to apply. So if you're not sure of the steps to take, this is a great resource to use. And I always use this when I'm doing any type of iron-on project. So we are going to preheat this for 5 seconds on low. I have my machine set to low. And we're going to use constant movement, light pressure, and then we're going to do a cool peel. Let's go ahead and get that started. Something that I really love about the Easy Press Mini is the fact that since it's a single plate and it doesn't have holes, you get the consistent heat along the whole element of it. So that's been so helpful for me when I'm creating. So you have your decal. We're going to apply it so that the shiny side is facing up. Think of this as a little protective sheet in between the iron and the decal itself. So the adhesive is on the back, and that will go straight down here. So you can also use butcher paper, parchment paper, or you can use Cricut's iron-on protective sheet, which is something I tend to use as well. So we need to preheat this for 5 seconds. So we're going to take our little mini iron, and we're just going to walk this along the section that we're going to apply this to for 5 seconds. So I'm just going to move this around just to make sure it's nice and heated up. This helps the material and the adhesive to receive each other a little bit more readily. So let's place this on here. Okay, that's awesome. It's ready to go. Now we can, we're going to move this around, applying light pressure, and we're going to count out 30 seconds. If you're using the larger presses, they have a timer on them, so it makes it really easy to set the temperature and the timing. But this one we're going to do for 30 seconds. So I'm going to go ahead and work on this. You can also tell with the felt, since this is Dollar Tree felt and it's pretty thin, you can tell that it's adhered to the back because you're going to start to see it through on the other side. We're not allowed to remove the decal until this has cooled down completely, so we're going to allow that to sit, and then we will come back to it and remove the little plate from this that's protecting it. So now we just have to be patient and let it do its thing. Now that we've allowed our decal to fully cool off, what we're going to do is peel up on the corner. Because this is Dollar Tree felt, it's a little bit thinner, so make sure you hold down the felt while you're pulling away. And we're just going to roll this away. There we go, super cute. And it's adhered. We can put a fresh slice on the end of this just because it got pulled a little bit. And that way you have a nice professional result on this. So let's roll this up and take a look at what it looks like completed. So we have this pretty long roll here, and what we can do is start gluing it to one of our bases. So I think I'm going to choose one to start out. So our first step is we're going to take the roll, and I think I'm going to start where this seam is. Just add a little layer of hot glue. Let's take the end that's a little bit more messed up looking, because that's the part that's going to go towards the center and no one will see it. So that's just going to add some bulk and fluffiness to our little toilet paper rolls. And then we just get to start wrapping. This is fun. I say that's a pretty respectable little toilet paper roll for sizing, right? So what we're going to do is there's still leftover, which is great. We can use it for the padding for other ornaments. I'm just going to cut this one off. And because we could do it two ways. We could just add a layer of glue in here and then just attach it so it swings open. Or we could use double-sided tape for that as well. But because this is felt, it may not hold up unless you use something like hot glue or fabric glue. Or we can always roll it too, and then just add like a little dab of glue right there. I think I'm going to do it that way. Just add a little tiny dab right there. And there we go. Oh my gosh, super cute. Okay, let's work on some more of these. Okay, so I used the leftover from that first roll here that I was making to wrap around this one. And what I'm going to do is just, this is obviously too small for what I wanted, so I'm just going to hot glue this. And then I'm going to continue the next strip right along behind it. So that way this adds some bulk and we're not wasting some. Yeah, you can still do it like a normal toilet paper roll where you could just seal it that way and it looks fine. So that is still an option. If you don't like the little folded roll, you can do it that way too. But I'm going to add more of the felt. I'm going to cut another strip of the felt and add a little bit more thickness to it. And that way it looks like a really nice plush toilet paper roll. So now I've made a bunch of different little mini toilet paper rolls. As you can see, I kind of changed it up depending on the style that I was going for. For some, I kind of folded it over so it looked like it was tucked in. Some I folded it out the opposite way. And there were some that I just glued and then left it like that so that there's like a little sheet hanging off. And so I kind of played around with those. The next step would be to take some Dollar Tree ribbon, and there's a ton of different kinds of ribbon. I think this red and white one is really cute, so I'm going to use it for this one. It's one of my favorite ribbons. There's 9 feet of it, so you can make it go pretty far for ornaments like this. And because these are, we're not going to tie them, we're just going to glue them like this, hanging up, so that they can just be hung straight up onto the mini tree that we're going to use. We don't have to use a lot of ribbon for this, so I'm going to play around with this and figure out exactly how far I want that. So probably, I think, somewhere around there. So let me measure that, and let's figure out how long that is. It looks like that's approximately 7 inches in length, so I'm going to cut the first one, and then I will just continue to cut a bunch of these the same length, so that way when they're hanging on the tree they all look like they're pretty much the same hanger. These would be kind of funny to have on just a whole tree like that, or it could just be something that, you know, you give as little kind of gag gifts for your family or friends for the holidays. So you can make a whole bunch of mini ones and deliver a little toilet paper roll along with whatever else you're doing, a card or whatever. Any type of fun little gift. I think at least it might make people smile, and that's the whole point of this, hopefully, is make everybody smile. So we have all our mini toilet paper rolls, and we have a whole bunch of the ribbon that's pre-cut to the size we want. So what I'm going to do is, you can do it a couple different ways. You could glue it like this, so that you have a standard hanger, or if you wanted it to face out so they could see the ribbon, you could do it that way. I think I'm going to glue it like this, and then like glue the pieces together and then glue it to the inside of the little mini rolls. So let's do that first. I want to make sure that these will hold together. So I'm going to do that for all of these, and then we'll come back and glue them into the little individual rolls. I'm going to go ahead and take another one of these, and we're going to just make sure that this adheres inside. So we're going to add a little bit of hot glue in there and press this in with this facing out towards the front, and then use a pen to kind of push it into place and hold it. That way when it's hanging on the tree, you'll still see this facing outwards. You can kind of play around and adjust the spacing on this so that it's angled in different directions depending on how you want it to hang on the tree. So if it's hanging on the tree like that, you can move it like that. So if you want it to show more of the roll, that's a good way to do it, is just kind of play around with how that goes. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and definitely make sure that you hit the like and subscribe button. You'll want to come back for other tutorials. I have a ton coming up for the holidays, and I hope you'll stay tuned. Have an awesome day.